Hey YouTube, here's Priyanka, and I hope you guys are having a beautiful summertime wherever you are. This is my experience of a long road trip we did recently, actually last week, to the island Corsica. If you haven't been there, highly recommend. It's a beautiful island, a lot of places to explore, beautiful beaches, and of course on the and there are other activities. You can hiking and biking and motorbikes riding because there are beautiful curvy roads that are a highly recommended place to be. So this video is about my experience driving BMW i3, and that's my electric car, which I was having for about now 5 years time. And we did the same trip about 3 years back. And when you compare then to now, there are a lot of electric vehicles on the road. And as a matter of fact, and a lot of charging stations are occupied as well. So you have to factor that in. So that means you have to plan ahead. And of course, the previously the most of I mean you could find some free charging stations, but now it's not more no more the case, right? So that means there are huge price differences, and to my surprise, in Corsica itself there are charging infrastructure has grown, and one of the cheapest countries I found to charge prices wise to charge your vehicle. Of course, in Corsica, about 90% of the charging stations are slowest speed, 22 kilowatts. But to do a full charge, about my car's full charge is 42. So I start most of the time with 10% left to about 80%. So about 35 kilowatt hours capacity will cost you around 10 euros. I mean, that's cheap when you're comparing to the charging station along the highway from Switzerland to Italy. So this trip is I started from Winterthur, Switzerland, and drove to Livorno in Italy, and then took the ferry to Corsica. So distance between Winterthur, Switzerland to Livorno is about 612. I left home with 100% charged battery, and of course, on summer day you use air condition, and also E3 will can do up to 200 to 220 on the highway speed. So we speed wise average it's about 100 kilometers an hour, or 110, so between 100 and 110 kilometers per hour. And we did two charging stops. One is on the border of the Italy, and the other one is in somewhere passing passing Milan, right? So we did two charging stops, and my first advice or tip for you guys who are also in Europe driving electric cars, try to use that particular charging app or a card from that particular charging station or a service provider, because I used I used to carry the BMW charging card, and it will support almost all of the service charging stations, but it is tendentially it's cost you more, because as a Swiss customer from BMW charging card, If you use that card in a Europe country, then you have to factor in the conversion rate as well. The conversion rate that BMW uses is not always, I mean, never profitable for the customer. And on the other hand, you don't have the visibility what is the actual cost and what's the provision that BMW takes from it. It's a flat rate decided by BMW, and so yeah, it is always expensive than when you're using the charging payment method that charging station provides. So what I did was, everywhere I go, I try to download the app of the charging station. Of course, this takes a bit time. You have to download the app and you have to enter all your credential, waiting for the confirmation email, and then enter your credit card details, and only then you can start the payment. So you have to be prepared for that. Unless of course you are in a really hurry, then I authentication the charge by the BMW charging card. So my first tip is to use as much as possible the payment method directly provided by the charging station. And there are some small tips that I have prepared on the second slide. If you're on a trip like this, you need to have in any case, if you're doing a trip on an electric car, you have to have some sort of a internet connection with roaming, of course, if you're driving outside your country, right? There are many reasons, to search the charging stations, and so download the apps, and yeah, you cannot do it without any internet connection, right? So actually in BMW and almost all the other electric cars nowadays, they have some sort of internet connection to show you the charging station. But the problem is, I experience that often, they're not in BMW. Sometimes the it does not car does not show the charging stations, right? So it's due to yeah, the connections issues or whatever. You can solve it on your own, because it's you don't have any in-depth, you don't have a way to restart the modem or whatever, what the internet connection of the car. You don't have any sort of like any error handling. So it's always better to have a way to have an internet connection. So I used to sort of like activate and roaming internet connection for my phone, and of course I use CarPlay in my car, so that helps if you have that situation. If you cannot use, and so my choice of internet connections, I have an 4G mobile router, the Netgear. That's very good, very stable, and I insert an separate SIM card which provides me the internet connection, because then I can use this device inside the car and then share the connection with my other family members. If you have that only in your phone, then you have to do the hotspot. If you activate the hotspot, your CarPlay will not work. So there are some tips. If you guys interested on solving the issue with CarPlay and hotspot, then just write me on the comments. I will elaborate on that further. The other caveat is, as I mentioned, if your phone is connected to an external router, you cannot use the wireless CarPlay, and most of on the BMW is the case, at least. If your car has a wireless CarPlay, it is very difficult to sort of like go back to the wired CarPlay, because that would solve the issue. But anyway, long story short, um, get an internet connection if you're driving long distance and if you're driving electric vehicle, because that's a must. Without that, it's very difficult to survive, right? And make sure that um, your tire pressure um, is correct. Like I sort of like inflate my tires a little bit more than the recommended pressure, because that helps to squeeze some more range from out of the car. Of course, the trade-off is the comfort, because if the tires are very tight, then it will you will feel it. If the roads are not that smooth, but anyway, it will work wonders on the distance. So the other thing I would recommend is sunblockers and sunshades, like the one I have in this picture here. Must. If you leave your car, or if you're waiting and if you're having something to eat during the charging sessions, use this. Then with this will help if you run the stationary sort of like climate control in the car. This will help the car to cool down more efficiently. And of course, if you leave the car in a sunny parking lot, it's helpful to keep the inside of the car a little bit cooler. So highly recommend one. Actually, I was sort of buying the sun shades, not like sun blockers, sun shades which are transparent to my side mirrors as well, because sometimes I think you guys have experienced that if you drive on a long stretch, always sun is shining from the driving side. It's very sort of like very hot, can be very hot. So uh, the transparent sunshades will do the trick. I don't have at this time, but next time I will get those. The sun blockers you can buy it from Amazon. I will try to post a link below the video. So yeah, those are standard. I mean, you don't have to buy it from Amazon. You can buy any sort of like a car accessory shop. So the next thing I bought this time to my this trip, the seat covers. These are very cool. I bought it from Amazon. I will post the link as well. These are made out of it's like a towel, right? So it's highly recommend if you jump to the sea and covered with sand. I mean, you don't want that sand to get into your car seats. It's very difficult to vacuum that out. With this, I mean, it's very soft material. It will keep the seats cool. If you have, especially if you have leather seats. In my case, it's not the case. I don't have leather seats, but so this will help you to um, keep the seats cool. And the material is very cool. And yesterday I washed all four of those seat covers. It's like it has a hoodie. You can put it over the headrest, and it will stay in place, right? And it's very easy to wash. Very well invested money. So it's one cover. It's about 25 euros, but it's well spent money if you're on a long trip, and if you do any activities, like for example, if you go running or whatever the activities you do, if you're sweating a lot, I mean, perfect, right? You put the seat cover on and you're good to go. And I recommend the rubber carpets because my car has velvet carpet. Like, it's very difficult to get the sand out of those carpets if it gets in, and if it get wet, then you have to dry them properly. The rubber carpets are cool. I mean, these are BMW original rubber carpets for i3, and I have front and back rubber carpets. Must have. And yeah, the other thing is power extension. Get it. I mean, prepare yourself. I mean, get the power extension, normal power extension, with high capacity, and get the EU adapter as well. Whatever the country you're coming from, get a proper adapter to in case of an emergency. Like you can park somewhere and then get your vehicle charged from a normal power outlet if you have to, right? So in emergency situations. So yeah, that's about it. I think I listed the most important ones, which I found useful this time. And yeah, if you have any questions regarding yeah, regarding the trip or regarding these tools I have mentioned, just let me know. And if not, have a great summer and drive safely and enjoy it. Take care. Bye. Till next time.